You are not lazy. You are not unmotivated. You are not someone who needs to do more. You are someone who has been doing so much, for so long, that your body and your mind have started sending signals you keep overriding. The headaches. The inability to rest even when you finally have time. The sense that no matter how much you accomplish, it is never quite enough. The guilt that appears the moment you stop moving. If any of that sounds familiar, this video is not going to tell you to work harder. It is going to tell you something that the culture you were raised in never did, that the relationship you have with productivity may be one of the most quietly destructive forces in your life, and that recognizing it is the first step to getting your life back. Toxic productivity is not about working hard. Hard work is healthy. It produces results, builds skills, creates meaning, and generates genuine satisfaction. Toxic productivity is something different. It is the compulsive need to be productive at all times, the inability to rest without guilt, the tendency to measure your worth entirely by your output, the constant feeling that whatever you are doing is not enough, that you should be doing more, being more, producing more. It is the voice that tells you relaxation is laziness. That rest needs to be earned. That your value as a human being is directly proportional to your level of busyness. That voice is not your conscience. It is a wound dressed up as a virtue. And it is costing you far more than you have calculated. Here is the paradox that toxic productivity creates, and this is the part that makes it so difficult to recognize. In the short term, it works. The person who cannot stop working gets things done. They are reliable, high output, and impressive to the outside world. The problem is what is happening underneath the performance. Chronically elevated cortisol, progressive nervous system dysregulation, degraded sleep quality, weakened immune function, reduced creativity and cognitive flexibility, relationship neglect, and perhaps most insidiously, a progressive disconnection from any internal sense of satisfaction, because the dopamine system that should reward completion has been so chronically overstimulated that it no longer fires in response to ordinary achievement. You finish a project and feel nothing. You cross everything off the list and feel empty. You accomplish more than most people around you and feel like you are falling behind. That numbness is not ingratitude. It is neurological. And it is one of the clearest signs that your relationship with productivity has crossed from healthy into harmful. Where does this pattern come from? For most people, it was installed early and quietly. In families where love and approval were linked to performance. In school systems that rewarded relentless effort and stigmatized rest. In a culture that took the concept of hustle and turned it into an identity, where being busy became a status symbol, exhaustion became a badge of honor, and the person who worked the longest hours was the person most admired. An entire generation was taught that their worth was something they had to earn, through grades, achievements, productivity, and output, and that any moment not spent producing was a moment wasted. That belief did not stay in childhood. It followed you into adulthood, and became the internal operating system through which you evaluate your own value every single day. And the cruelest part is that it is self-reinforcing. Because when you rest and feel guilty, the only way to relieve the guilt is to go back to work. And so the cycle continues. Not because you are weak. Because the system was designed to be inescapable. The research on what sustained overwork actually does to performance, not to how you feel but to the actual quality and quantity of your output, is sobering. Studies consistently show that cognitive performance begins to decline significantly after 50 hours of work per week. Decision-making quality deteriorates. Creative problem-solving capacity drops. Error rates increase. And yet the person in the grip of toxic productivity cannot access this information in a useful way because their sense of self is so entangled with their output. that slowing down feels not like a strategic choice but like a personal failure. The identity cannot afford to rest. And so the performance continues to degrade while the effort continues to increase, which is exactly the opposite of what the hustle mythology promises. There is also a deeper cost that rarely gets named. Toxic productivity does not just damage your health and your performance. It damages your relationships. The person who is always working, always optimizing, always measuring their day in units of output, that person is not fully present. Not at dinner. Not at bedtime with their children. Not in conversations with people they love. Not even in moments of genuine pleasure, because the background processor is always running, always calculating how this moment could be made more productive, always generating a quiet low-grade guilt that colors every experience that cannot be justified as useful. You are physically present but psychologically absent. And the people around you feel it, even when they cannot name it. Even when you cannot name it yourself. So what is the path out? The first and most important shift is cognitive, and it is more difficult than it sounds. It is the deliberate, repeated practice of decoupling your worth from your output. Not as a concept. As a daily practice. Every time the guilt appears when you rest, you name what is happening. This is a conditioned response, not a moral reality. My worth is not a function of my productivity. I am not more valuable when I produce more. That statement will feel false the first time you say it. It will feel less false the 100th time. And at some point, with enough repetition and enough evidence from your own experience, it will begin to feel true. Because it is true. And it always was. You just were not taught that. The second shift is structural. Toxic productivity thrives in the absence of protected non-productive time. This means deliberately scheduling rest, play, and restoration, not as rewards for productivity, but as non-negotiable components of a sustainable life. Not free time that happens when everything else is done, because everything is never done. Scheduled, protected, guilt-resistant time that exists because you have decided that your recovery is as important as your output. This is not laziness. This is the basic maintenance protocol for a high-performing human system. Elite athletes do not train without recovery cycles. Neither can you. And the research is unambiguous. People who take genuine recovery time are more creative, more focused, more emotionally regulated, and more productive during their working hours than people who never stop. Rest is not the opposite of performance. It is the foundation of it. The third shift is identity level. And this is the deepest one. Toxic productivity is ultimately an identity problem, a confusion between who you are and what you do. The healing of it requires building a sense of self that exists independently of your output. Relationships that value you for who you are rather than what you produce. Practices that connect you to pleasure, creativity, and meaning that have nothing to do with achievement. A definition of a good day that includes how you felt, how present you were, and how connected you were, not just what you accomplished. This is not a weekend project. It is a long-term reconstruction of the internal architecture that has been running your life. But every step toward it is a step toward a version of yourself that is not just more productive, but more alive. If you made it to the end of this video, I want to ask you one question, and I want you to sit with the answer honestly. When was the last time you rested without guilt? Not a vacation where you checked your phone every hour. Not a weekend where you caught up on tasks. Genuine, unproductive, guilt-free rest. If you cannot remember, that is important information. Share this video with someone who wears their exhaustion like a badge, because sometimes the most important thing you can tell someone is that they are allowed to stop. Subscribe to continue this journey, because the next video is going to reveal something your body has been trying to communicate to you for years, but that you never learned to listen to, the gut feeling you should never ignore, the science behind your intestinal intuition, and why your second brain may know things that your conscious mind has not yet processed. See you there.